one night, my little sister, I think she was about 3 or 4 around this time, she was sleeping, she went down for a nap, she ended up waking up, and it was me, my mom, and I think my other sister in the living room. She comes and tells my mom, like, hey, like, Grandpa says he misses you. Mom's like, who are you talking about? She's like, yeah, Grandpa says he misses you and loves you or something like that. We're like, what the heck, who are you talking about? She starts crying. She's like, I miss him. My mom's like, who are you talking about? And she's like, look. And she goes in my mom's room and pulls out a picture of our great grandpa. Yeah. And it's crazy because I've never met him. My little sister hasn't met him. And like, we're a big age difference. So obviously it was years ago that he had passed away. She basically saw him in her dream, or he talked to her somehow. And my mom and all of us were kind of like scared. Kind of like what we concluded was that maybe like he reached out to her in her dream while she was sleeping.
Scary movies based on true stories. The Conjuring. The Strangers. Veronica. It. The Haunting in Connecticut. The Silence of Lambs. The Dentist. The Exorcist.
Guys, creepy story time. So this actually happened last night. My son came into my room like around 3 in the morning, and he said, hey mom, come into my room to sleep with me. Now I found this a little odd because usually like if he wants company, like he'll come into my room and then he'll just snuggle into my bed. But this time he said, come to my room. So I don't know why I didn't think twice. I grabbed my pillow, I grabbed my blanket, and I went into his room and I laid down on the bed. Now I fell asleep fairly quickly because, you know, it's 3 in the morning. But like around 3:15, I hear, my heart is beating so fast. I hear this. So I keep hearing it, and I fully wake up, and I keep hearing it, and I'm awake. So I turn to him, and I'm looking at him, right? And I'm like, and I see that his lips are closed, and I keep hearing, Mom, Mom. And I'm looking at his lips, and I'm like, am I sleeping? So I'm like fully awake. So now I'm sitting up, and I'm hearing, Mom, Mom. So at this point, I'm freaking out because I'm fully awake. My son's lips are closed. He wakes up. He looks at me and he gives me a kiss and he goes back to sleep. And I keep hearing, Mom. So what I did is I grabbed my phone. I did not want to turn on the light. I did not want to go look down the hallway. I didn't want to do none of that. I turn on my phone and I started playing the Bible because I have the Bible app. I clicked on it and I just started playing the Bible really loud, and it stopped. Okay, it stopped. So I fall back asleep and I start hearing it again after a couple minutes, and this time I'm freaking out. So here's where everything changes, okay? And now I'm laughing because I'm like, oh my God. So I hear my mom. Oh, I'm gonna run out of time. Okay. So I hear my mom snoring. And she's like, it was my mom snoring the whole time. The relief in my heart, y'all. The relief. Ah!
Isang dalagita na animoy isang hayop kung mangagat. May mga nagsasabi na ang babaeng ito ay sinaniban ng espiritu ng hayop. May mga nagsasabi rin naman na ito raw ay isang trip-trip lamang. Pero ano nga ba ang bumabalot sa kwento na ito? At ang nakakilabot na katotohanan ay
a 24-year-old mukbanger just died after her stomach ripped open on live stream. This was also a 10-hour live stream. It was very lengthy and she was consuming a lot of things, cake, chicken, everything, you name it. She was a Chinese woman by the name of Pan Xiaoting. She died last week from a stomach rupture on the live stream after consuming over 15 pounds of food. The autopsy report suggested that her stomach literally ripped open because there was a lot of undigested food in there and the stomach was distended. This was not the first incident either. She was hospitalized a few months ago for her stomach bleeding for the same thing, eating a lot of food on a live stream. And it's sad too, because even her parents are begging her to stop. But a lot of mukbang culture has become a little toxic. The more outrageous it gets, the more viewers, these people get and the more money they make. It kind of incentivizes them to destroy their bodies in this way. I really feel for this young girl and her family. It's just so sad. Hopefully other mukbangers see this and they take this as like a warning. Just be more careful. Your stomach can literally rupture. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. As always, these videos are for informational purposes only.
This is known as the expressionless. A popular creepypasta tells the story of a woman walking into a hospital, but this woman didn't look like an ordinary woman. She had no expression, her face was sort of like a mannequin, and she had no eyebrows. She was wearing a white gown, which was covered in blood. Her mouth was dripping blood, and in between her teeth was a kitten clenched between her jaws. She soon pulled the kitten from her mouth, threw it aside before collapsing herself. She was then taken to the back, where she still showed no emotion, but doctors thought it would be best that she be sedated and restrained. Both a male and a female doctor tried restraining her, and as soon as they started, she looked at the male doctor and smiled, showing her razor-sharp teeth. Out of fear, the girl doctor let go, and she looked at the male doctor and he said, "What are you?" before she soon ripped out his jugular, then whispered in his ear, "I am God." She soon fled the hospital, and the female doctor called her the expressionless.
So there's this girl who loves anything paranormal. She loves podcasts, scary movies, scary stories. Oh my god, it's a story about me. It's almost like she gets this adrenaline when she watches the movies or podcasts or scary stories. Is this about me? I mean, if you're here, this could be about you too. So it's not just about me. all of us together. So there is a friend of hers that is really close to her, and one day just out of the blue tells her, you need to be careful. Lately, I've been feeling like there's something going on with you, like the energy is not right. So I just need to tell you to be careful. She explains to her that lately when she's hung out with her, there's like a really weird bad energy, and the only reason she had the courage to tell her to be careful is because of her daughter. So the girl who loves everything paranormal has a daughter. Her daughter at the time was 5 years old, and her response to her friend was like, please, like, I've been watching scary movies most of my life. I love this. I've never really been that scared. I feel like you're feeling this way because you get scared of paranormal things. Like, I'm used to it. I'm fine. I've been watching them and everything's okay. However, she now says that she should have listened to her friend. So there was one night where she decided to watch a scary movie, and mind you, this was like a week from when her friend gave her that warning. And as she's watching that scary movie, she says that she starts feeling really scared. She was so focused on that movie and so freaking scared that she forgot where her daughter was. She forgot the time. Like, she just wasn't thinking clearly. She even explains that when she does watch scary movies, she lowers the volume so that if her daughter's in her room playing, like, she doesn't hear it. She doesn't want her daughter to see this. Obviously, she's too young to be even listening to any of this. However, that day, completely forgot to lower the volume. So as she's like stuck on the TV, the volume is high, she then starts to hear a secondary sound of a little girl crying. In that moment, she like comes to and she's like, oh my gosh, my daughter, that's my daughter crying. She immediately gets up, runs to her daughter's room, and she turns the knob and tries to open it, and she cannot open that door. It's obviously not locked because she was able to twist the doorknob, and she can hear her daughter crying on the other side. Again, she's trying to open the door and she just can't. She's still trying to open that door, and she said that she almost felt as if like something was preventing it from opening, and then they moved out of the way and she was able to push it open. When that door finally opens, she sees her daughter sitting on the bed wrapped in a towel and just crying unconsolably. Obviously, she's asking her daughter like, what happened? Are you okay? What's going on? And her daughter tells her that there was a shadow on the door, a shadow that wouldn't let her out and was staring just at her. She explains that ever since that day, she stopped watching scary movies, she stopped doing a lot of things, and she does have, you know, her little hobbies, but she'll listen to podcasts with headphones in without even watching anything on high volume or nothing like that. Honestly, same. Like, I know that sounds scary, but like, how can I stop watching scary movies and stories and podcasts? Like, I cannot. But also, like, daughter, I guess I don't know that feeling because I don't have kids, but like, something was there. Anyway, what do you guys think?
So check this crazy ass loophole I just went through. I nutted in the condom. Put water in the condom. Okay? Then, you want to take it a step further, put the condom over a light. At that point, you're going to see a homemade lava lamp. Not gabbing though.
Do you guys remember this lady from Insidious? What if I were to tell you that not only is she real, but I've seen her? Storytime. I have shared this a while back when I had like 2 followers. I figured I would go ahead and reshare the story. I used to work at the hospital night shift in the trauma center. On this night, I happened to be in the front when this guy, his mom, and another lady came up to the front. Mind you, when you work night shift in the ER, you always have different types of people coming in. So her being dressed in this way didn't really cause any alarm. I just figured that whatever, that was just her taste. So the guy walks up to the counter wanting to be checked in, and his mom and the lady sit in the chairs that are right across from me. He was coming in for something minor, like a stomach ache, I don't even remember. But as I checked him in, I went to hand him 2 visitor passes. So I'm like, these are for the 2 ladies that you came in with. The minute I said this, his face completely changed and he got really serious. And he goes, what 2 ladies? I look behind him and I no longer see the other lady. I don't see her anymore. I only see his mom sitting there. So I respond with, oh, I could have sworn you came in with 2 people. He was like, no, it's just my mom and I. So I respond with, oh, okay, I must just be seeing things. And he responds back, like he kind of snaps back at me like, yeah, you clearly are just seeing things. And I'm just like, okay. So I kind of just told him to sit down. After he went back with his mom, mind you, as he's walking past me, I feel chills as his mom is also walking past me. They go to the back and get taken care of. A little bit later, one of my coworkers, the girl that was in the back, now registering them in the back, she comes up to me and she's like, oh, I have like the worst chills. I have like this horrible feeling. She was like, I checked in. She mentions that same patient. I checked him in with his mom, and the whole time I was in the room, I had chills and something just felt extremely off about them. And then, of course, tell her what I saw. Her and I were close enough where I could share that stuff with her and she wouldn't think I was crazy. So yeah, that was one of the first times that I realized that people can have attachments and they'll have things that literally are attached to them and that walk with them every single day. This lady was with this lady and they were literally locked arms when they walked in, but it was just his mom there. It sounded just like my mom. Storytime, the person who submitted this says that I can use her name, but I cannot tag her. So Leah was spending the weekend at her grandmother's house. Her grandmother lives in New Mexico, in a very rural part of New Mexico that is surrounded by very heavy wooded like forests. Like the whole back of the house is just like thick trees. The day that Leah got to her grandmother's house, she spent most of the day playing outside with some of the neighborhood kids. Once it started to get dark out, she went back to the house, had dinner with her grandmother, and they got settled in her room. At about 11 p.m., she's laying on her bed, just scrolling on TikTok, when she hears something that literally sends chills down her spine. Clear as day, she hears her mom's voice calling her from outside. Every alarm bell started going off in Leah's head because she knew that her mom was hours away, that there was no way that it was her mom outside of the room. So she decided to just kind of quietly like get out of bed and peek through the blinds and look out into the backyard, but she sees no one standing there. Then she hears it again. She hears, Lele, come here, baby. Now, mind you, her mom is the only person that calls Leah Lele. So this thing was literally using the nickname that her mom had given her. I'm getting chills. Leah then decided to text her grandmother and asked if maybe her mom had come back early. And her grandmother quickly responded with, no, why? Just then, Leah hears the voice once again coming from the woods. This time it says, come on, sweetheart, hurry. Everything then goes completely silent, and it was almost like the crickets stopped cricking, like the wind stopped howling, like everything was just dead silent. Leah looks over at the window once again and sees a handprint, like an invisible handprint on the other side of the window. This sends her screaming straight into her Nana's room, where she runs in and slams the door. Her Nana tries everything that she can to try to calm her down, but they decide they're gonna deal with this in the morning. The next morning, they go outside and they check around like the window where Leah's room was, and they find barefoot prints on the mud facing towards like Leah's bedroom window. They also see the handprint, and they see like these jagged edge scratches on the tree that was right outside of Leah's bedroom window. Leah's grandmother never wanted to use the word, like the actual word. She never wanted to say it out loud because saying it out loud literally gives them power. But never again was Leah allowed to sleep in that room with the window open because she had the window open. And two, they ended up sprinkling some sort of like powder near the window that is supposed to make these things not want to come near you.
Another scary story, and this one comes from Canada. So my mom invited one of her friends over for a sleepover because her friend's air conditioner had broke down, and when she came, I had a really bad feeling about her. And when I came to greet her, I met her, and she had the hunched back look, and she was shaking and also kept staring at my sister and me. So then when she sat down with my mom and started drinking chai, I all of a sudden had a headache, but I didn't say anything. And as soon as I left the area around her, it would go away. I sat back down, and my mom asked my sister to do her kids' hennas. She had come with her kids too, FYI. So she went to go get her henna, and it was just me and the woman and her little son. She just kept staring at me so awkwardly and wouldn't look away. When I looked up, she would turn her head, and so on. And then when my sister got back with the henna and started doing her daughter's henna, the woman got up and went to my mom to talk to her. And my sister and her daughter were talking. And then the daughter says my mom used to be possessed by jinns, like really bad, and that it wouldn't leave her alone. So that creeped us out. After that, my mom started to make the place where they were going to sleep. My whole family was sleeping upstairs, and they were in the living room. So I just had this feeling that I should lock my door. So I went to my mom's room and I locked it, and I locked mine as well, just in case after we go to sleep, who knows. As I locked my door, I went to sleep, and I started having these crazy... Okay, that freaked the shit out of me because I was in the middle of the story and then the doorbell rang. So I locked all the doors and I went to sleep. And that's when I started having nightmares. I woke up in the middle of the night sweating profusely. I started reciting the Ayatul Kursi, which is an Islamic prayer for protection, and nothing happened after that. The next morning I had overslept. As I woke up and went downstairs, I noticed that they had left. I started cleaning the kitchen, and that's when I see a bunch of ants coming out of nowhere. I called my mom and I told her about it, and she said, "Don't worry, we'll fix it." But it was really weird that these things were happening in the house, and I also felt like I was being watched. Our TV also broke that same day. Many other things in the house were breaking, and my sister and I started getting really, really bad sleep paralysis. Especially my sister, her sleep paralysis was so bad that she couldn't even breathe, she said. I would have to wake her up at 3 a.m. and then she would wake up saying that a jinn was impersonating me. And she would see things in the closet like a black tall figure throwing sticks and stuff like that towards her. But sometimes it would be me being impersonated. And then out of nowhere, our whole family would always argue nonstop. My family started seeing an imam, which is an Islamic scholar, and things were way calmer. I don't know if she did something or anything as soon as she stepped foot in her house, but I do feel like everything was off after she came into her house. Seriously, I believe in that. Some people carry such low frequency negative energies, and when they come to your place, you can feel that heaviness. It's evident. So just always be careful who you let into your house, who you let into your life, because not everyone comes into your life with good intentions. Even if you have pure and good intentions and you see the world like with beauty, doesn't mean everyone sees it like that. Some people are just jealous because you're like that. So anyways, always be careful.
Oh yeah, one more thing. If y'all see me on Love Island, mind your fucking business, bitch. I'm trying to find love, bitch. Y'all had y'all motherfucking chance.
This is the face of pure evil. In the eerie town of Goobersville, Indiana, a tall and slender man named Jasper Noodleman cast a chilling shadow. Standing at a daunting height of 7 feet, Jasper owned a funeral home and crematorium, living a solitary and unsettling existence. He haunted the graveyard in the dead of night, standing motionless among the tombstones for hours. Even in the daylight, he stood in the foreboding woods surrounding his funeral home. As time passed, people began to vanish, and the town's population dwindled from 1,000 to a mere 500 over 2 decades. Unbeknownst to the townsfolk, Jasper was the culprit. He lured unsuspecting victims into his funeral home, showing them the experience of lying in a casket before trapping them inside. The evidence was disposed of in the incinerator, leaving no trace behind. But one fateful day, Jasper messed with the wrong man. Filled with rage and vengeance, the man confronted Jasper and threw him into the very incinerator, where his victims met their fiery demise. Jasper Noodleman, the tall and sinister figure, became ashes, just like those he had tormented for so long.
You guys want to hear a scary story? It reminds me a lot of Insidious, but it's real. One time when I was babysitting these 2 girls, talked about them in a video before this, we were going to call the older one Luna and the younger one Aura. That's what I called them last time. I was babysitting, and the older one had an imaginary friend that she called Pete. I would always sense weird energy in this house. Disturbing, dark, like not good, friendly Casper the Ghost. And then one time, the oldest Luna at the time was, I want to say she was 3 or 4. And the baby, Aura, was like 6 months old. And I had put Aura down for bed. Put her in her little swaddle, got her all set up. She was snug as a bug, cute, perfect sleeping. And me and Luna were out in the living room. Because I was like, okay, we can play one game together, like before you go to sleep. Because Aura obviously went to bed a little bit earlier. I think we pulled out like Candyland, some board game, which obviously she doesn't know how to play the ins and outs and the rules because she's 3. But when we were playing, she had another little character and it was Pete's, right? And every time, I swear to God, I would look away, I'd look back and it would move and she'd be like, oh, Pete moved it. And I'm like, okay, Luna, like you obviously moved it, you know? Like she's 3 and I know she's just like, you know, she doesn't know how to play the game. Now I know it was literally this dark spirit that was moving it, but stay with me. I'm like, okay, Luna, sure. And then out of nowhere, we're playing and the TV was on in the background, excuse me. And Luna goes, I love this song. And I'm like listening. I'm like, what song, baby? Like, I don't hear any music. And she said, oh, the song that Pete is singing to me. She said, it's a song that my daddy plays on his guitar because their dad played guitar, I guess. Like, I'd always see the guitar. Sometimes it'd be in the living room or sometimes it'd be in the parents' room. Like, when I'd go in there to grab stuff for the kids. It was just, like, always propped against a wall. And I was like, oh, that's nice. Like, remember what we said about Pete? Because I told her I didn't want her talking to Pete because, again, this felt like a dark energy. And it sucked because every time I was there, I felt like he was sitting in between me and her. Like, he was always, the spirit, Pete, was always hovering. It would never go away. So anyways, I'm like, what song? Blah, blah. And she's like, I'm trying to get her to describe to me again. She's 3. She doesn't really know how to describe it. And she says, no, Pete said he'll play for you. And I said, no, that's okay. Like, want anything to do with it? She said, no, he'll play for you. Just hold on. So I ignore it and we start playing this game again. Just moving little pieces across the board. And all of a sudden I hear the strum of a guitar. Just a solo strum, like an off chord. And I just get chills down my back because at this time the guitar was in the parents' room. I only knew that. I hadn't gone in their room that time. But because I heard it and their door was shut. And Luna jumps up. She's like, oh, I told you, Riley. Like, I told you. Pete said he'd show you the song. It's my favorite song. And I'm terrified. Like, I'm trying so hard to act cool. I don't know how this little girl is not so scared. But I'm just like, oh, okay, hold on. Let me just go look real quick. Because my immediate thought was like, maybe somebody's in the house. Like, a real person. Because that sounded way too real. It literally was just a strum of a guitar. So I go into the parents' room, I turn on all the lights, the guitar is just sitting against the wall. Nobody's in the house. I do a sweep, and I'm like really disturbed because every sweep I'm doing, I feel like something is just hovering and following me into every room I'm going into. So I finally sit back down with her. I'm like, okay, babe, let's watch like 10 more minutes of the show, and then like we're gonna go to bed. When I sat on the couch with her, it was the first time I felt like not super heavy, overpowering energy, and I'm like, whew, okay, like. But anyways, I was like, okay, this feels a little less heavy. Sorry, my dog's drinking water in the background. She's so loud. So I'm like, okay, I can breathe a little bit. And I pick up the baby monitor right next to us. You guys know what's coming. You've seen the scary movies because it literally was just like that. Pick up the baby monitor to check on Aura. And I literally gag when I think about this because it was so terrifying. I see a hand, right next to the baby. She's sleeping, she's swaddling, and it's a creepy hand where the nails are like this long and it's just this black shadowy hand just right next to her. And again, this is the first time I said I felt relieved, like I wasn't being followed. it's because it went in the other room. I freak out. I literally sprinted, ran, busted into Aura's room, woke her up because I came in the door so hot. She was crying and just felt that energy in that room was disgusting. I pick her up, I bring her back out to the living room. I'm like trying to explain to the parents when they come home, like they're gonna think I'm insane of why their kids are still awake. And I'm sitting on the couch with the baby and with Luna, and I forgot to turn off the baby monitor. And I literally hear just disembodied voices coming from the baby monitor. Terrifying, out of nowhere, loud. And I literally just shut the baby monitor off. And the baby ended up falling back asleep in my arms. Luna ended up falling back asleep, and she fell asleep on me, her little head was on my shoulder. When the parents came home, I was like, sorry, they're just so sweet, and they just want to sleep out here with me. Because I tried again to, I've explained this in the other video, but I tried to kind of bring it up to them before, how something I thought was going on in their house paranormal, and they looked at me like I was fucking insane. So I knew I wasn't getting anywhere with that. But that was also one of the terrifying times I experienced babysitting for those kids.
Today's true scary story is called Smiley Face Demons, and this girl literally got admitted to the hospital because of physical harm. So if you scare easily, I would not watch this at night. This story terrified me. I could not sleep after I read it. I just want to remind you also to subscribe to my YT channel. The link is in my bio, where I will be telling the same story I told last night, just the longer and uncensored version on there tonight. And if you want to tell me your true scary story and you want me to recount it on here, then email me. My email is in my bio. It is kaisaspooky@gmail.com. Okay, let's get started. Today's submitter's name is Isabella, and she did say that I could tag her in the description, so she will be tagged in the description if you have any comments for her. Isabella today is a practicing witch, and her uncle was a practicing witch when she was about 5 or 6 years old. That is important to note. Now, this story takes place down by the border. She didn't say what border specifically, but it's by a border. There are 2 houses on the property. One of them is very run down, and the second one is newly built. Her grandmother and grandfather used to live in the run down house, and her uncle, her, and her grandfather lived in the new built house when this story occurred. Now, she has experienced a lot of things in this house, a lot of paranormal activity, but the things that scared her the absolute most was something that she called the smiley face demons. Now, these things wore suits that were mangled but still kind of put together, she described, and top hats. And they had huge smiles on their faces at all times. One of them holds a cane and is bigger than the rest of the demons, and this is the one that terrorizes her the most. So the first time that she ever saw these little creatures was on her 5th birthday, and she told her mother about it, and her mother completely dismissed her. Apparently her mother did not really have custody of her at this time. Her grandfather and uncle really did, for the most part. So then she goes to her uncle, and she tells her uncle about it. She feels like he's going to understand better since he practices witchcraft. He tells her that he hasn't seen anything like this, and so not to worry about it. So she kind of pushes it off to the side and just suggests that it's maybe her imagination. About 6 months after her 5th birthday, though, she's sleeping in her bed when all of a sudden she hears this scratching sound on the wall, just this grrr. And she's trying to sleep, but she's hearing it, and she's like, wait, are these my animals? Apparently they had a lot of animals in the house, so she's thinking at this point that maybe it's just one of her animals. That is, until she starts hearing something walk in her direction from the exact place that she was hearing the scratching sound. She was so terrified she didn't even want to turn her head. So she's just laying there, absolutely petrified, when she hears a male voice and a raspy voice say, "Look at me. Look at me." Her uncle had previously told her that if anything ever tried to contact her with bad intentions, she is to tell them that they need to go away, leave her space, and that they have no power over her. So that is exactly what she did. She says, "Leave my space right now, you have no power over me." That's when this thing runs to her bed and says, "Really?" So this obviously terrifies Isabella, and she starts screaming at the top of her lungs. Her whole family wakes up and rushes into her room, and she's having a full-blown seizure. They have to call 911. As soon as they get to the hospital, the doctors say that there's absolutely nothing wrong with her, and they think that this was just a one-off time thing. After this, Isabella absolutely refused to sleep in her bedroom. So her family wanted to keep an eye on her, so her uncle slept out in the living room with her to keep an eye on her. And he said that he saw her regularly having nightmares. Now, Isabella doesn't remember all of these nightmares, but the ones that she does remember, they are of these smiley face demons. And what they would do in these nightmares is they would chase her around, then they would catch her, and they would choke her and scratch her. For her protection, her uncle did a cleansing spell. Now this worked for about a month, but a month later she was in school and she sees these smiley face demons in school. She gets so scared that she goes up and she tells her teacher, but her teacher completely dismisses her and tells her that she just has a wild imagination. This time she saw 3 of them in school, and shortly after she tells her teacher what she saw, she has another seizure and she has to go back to the hospital. And once again, the doctors tell her that she has nothing wrong with her. They don't know why she had a second one, and they don't think that she's going to have another one. Why they thought this, I have no idea. At this point, Isabella is incredibly scared, and she tells her uncle, listen, something is happening to me. I am seeing these things everywhere, and right after I see them, I'm having seizures, and I'm terrified. And her uncle asks her what they look like. She tells them, so he does another spell, except for this time, the spell makes things so much worse. After the spell, they start to get incredibly violent. She starts waking up with hand-mark bruises on her arms and her legs and scratches all over her body. So much so that her teachers called CPS on her family. CPS case is eventually dismissed because they found nothing wrong with the family. They just said that she was a playful kid and she was probably getting hurt playing around. This is not the case though. She continues to see them, and then she has a 3rd seizure. This poor girl. At this point, she asks her uncle to stop doing spells because she's like, something is happening and it's making it worse because this seizure was really bad. She had during the seizure that was so bad that because she was a child, she actually lost so much from that she was hospitalized for a few days, literally admitted to the hospital because of this. So while she's in the hospital, they are terrorizing her in the hospital, but not fully. All they're doing is they're just standing in the corners of the hospital room, just crouching, smiling, and waving at her. After this, her uncle is like, I have had enough. I am banishing them from the house and I am banishing them from you. I'm going to find a way. So he does this, but he only succeeds from banishing them from their house, not from her. So the only thing left for him to do is to teach her how to keep them at bay from not hurting her or touching her. And that is what he does. Now, she has to do this every single month or she will be terrorized again. And they follow her around to this day. She has no idea what they are and she wants to know what you guys think they are. She said in her exact words, I am very Mexican and Native American. So it could be something from my people. She does not have seizures anymore and her nose has not anymore. So she wants to know what you guys think. And like I said, I did tag her. So please drop everything you guys think in the comments. If you have any suggestions, any ideas, or if you have maybe seen these things yourself, let her know. My name is Kaisa and I tell true scary stories every single night that you guys submit to me and I recount them on here. So if you guys like that and you like this story, hit that follow button for more. And like I said, if you guys have a scary story that you want me to tell on here, then my email is in my bio. It's kaisaspooky@gmail.com. I also love fashion and I love showing you guys my favorite pieces that I have purchased on TikTok. So I'm going to show you. If this bothers you, feel free to skip it. That's why I put it at the end. Okay, so these are my second favorite pair of pants. They are 43% off right now. They are $12, so steal. And they are just so cute. They're faux leather. They're super, super stretchy. And they never like wear out as you're wearing them. They don't get baggy at all. They have belt loops. They're so comfortable and warm. I'm absolutely obsessed with these pants. They're just one of my favorites, so I thought I'd tell you guys. So I'll drop the link for them right there. No pressure, but the link will be right there. Other than that, I love you guys so much. You guys are seriously the best. Every single one of you that leave kind comments and that email me kind things, like honestly, you make my day every single time. You mean so much to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's just one thing though that I need you to do. And what is that? Have a spooky night. Love you. See you in the next one.
Hey friends, if you want to hear something scary, don't scroll. So this story is about me and a girl who are not friends anymore, so I'm not going to use her real name. I'm going to refer to her as S in this story. So when I was 12 years old, I was living in a really small town where basically everybody knows everybody. And if you're familiar with small towns, you know that that means that like for the kids, there's not much to do. You have to go find your own fun, which usually results in you getting in trouble or doing something wrong. So honestly, a lot of the times me and many of my friends would go on Omegle or Kick or there was one more too, but I can't remember. But this particular day, I almost said her name. This particular day, S and I went on Omegle and we were talking to this guy, this really fucking weird guy. So we're talking to him and he was friendly at first, but then things went downhill really fast, as it does usually when a 12-year-old is talking to a grown-ass adult on a website such as Omegle. I'm so glad that that shit is banned. I don't have to worry about my daughter ever finding out about it. But anyways, we were talking like deeply with this man, and I was pretty confident in that because I was like, oh, it's just online. Like, there's no way he can like find out where we are. There's no way. Wrong, bitch. Anyways, the fucking, what made us hang up was when he was like, so how old are you girls? Blah, blah, blah. And we told him that we were 12 years old. And he said, ooh, I bet you guys are sexier in person. We were like, yeah. And then this motherfucker whips out his dick and just starts slonging it around in front of us and is like, you like that? We hung up so fucking fast. But little did we know that he actually already found our location. I don't know how. We were on her sister's computer. We were not supposed to be on her sister's computer. So I don't really know like what kind of location settings she had going on her computer. And it was back in the day too, where things were not as like securely locked down as they are now. I'm assuming it was relatively easy for him to find out where we were from. So anyways, after we hung up, we thought that that would be the end of it. We like stopped going on Omegle for a couple weeks after that, and we were like, fuck no, we're not doing this anymore. But after that initial call with that guy on Omegle, we started to notice a new vehicle in our town, which is something that you do recognize in a very small town, in a very small community like we were in. Like I said, you know everybody when you live in a small town like that. You are a community. So we automatically knew that there was like a new vehicle in the town, and we were like, oh, okay, like somebody moved here, great, cool. Then we realized that this van, yeah, it was a black van, by the way. It was a black van, not like a regular creepy creeper white van. No, it was like a black van, and it was like one of those short ones. It didn't have windows, whatever. And the license plate was not from our state. I can remember that, but that was like normal for us because our town is one that like you have to cross through to get to one of the most famous mountains that we have in this area for skiing and snowboarding and whatever. So we were used to seeing out-of-state license plates. We didn't really think much of it until we started noticing that this van was following us around. It was everywhere we were. And we were kids that would always be outside. And if we weren't outside, we would be inside fucking around on the computers doing shit we weren't supposed to be doing. So whatever, we started noticing that this car was following us around, and we didn't want to say anything to the adults because we knew for fucking fact if we said something to the adults that they would cut us off from all contact walking outside by ourselves and hanging out more like we always do. And we did not want that. We were like, yeah, we can handle it ourselves, whatever. Like whoever this is, that we're gonna beat them up, like whatever. And oh my god, I remember the first time I ever got a glimpse of who was in the driver's seat one day when he was actually like following us down a busy street. It was on Main Street, so like there was people around, and I'm sure that that's why he didn't do anything that day. But when I saw that it was the same guy we were talking to on Omegle a couple weeks back, I was in shambles. I was like, this is like panicking, trying to tell her that that's who it was. And at first she didn't believe me. She was like, you're just paranoid. Like there's no way that he'd be able to find out where we were. And for a while after she said that, I was like, yeah, you're probably right. Like there's no way that he knows where we are. There's no way that it's the same guy. You're right. I'm just being paranoid. But then there was one day that we were walking home from the town pool, which was like not very far from her mother's house. So we were walking back to her mom's house, which was like off of a side street. So like you go down a side street, a paved side street, and then there's the dirt side street off of the side street. So like there's not very many people back there. And the side streets in that town are very windy too. So like even if there was a person, like they could be around the corner and they're not going to be able to see you from just like slightly around the corner. So we were walking home to her mom's house having a grand old time when here comes the fucking black van. We didn't even notice it. So we're like walking like do straight this way. Here comes the van from behind us, and then we're do and it fucking pulls up and cuts off the entire way of the dirt road that we're walking down to get to her mom's house. So I remember stopping, looking at her. It seemed like it was like 2 minutes of us staring at each other, but I think it was more like 2 seconds. Without saying a word to each other, we literally both booked it to the right as fast as we could. Because if you go right to where we were, it was like a wooded area that led to her mom's house, but it was like an unkempt wooded area. And we were walking home from the town pool. We had no shoes on. We were in our bathing suits. We were running through the woods, through the sticks, and I remember my feet were ripping. I could feel shit poking into my feet. It was so painful, and I wanted to stop, but I didn't want to stop and get fucking killed. I didn't want to experience the pain of being murdered. So anyway, once we got into her mom's house, we ended up locking all of the doors, all of the windows. Nobody was there at the time. Her parents worked a lot, and her siblings were older, so they were like always gone. Yeah, we were there alone, and after we locked up the entire house, we started looking out the window to like make sure that he was like not gonna come try to find us. And this motherfucker pulls into the driveway of her parents' house. Like, what if somebody was there? First of all, he probably knew that nobody was there because no cars were there, obviously. But like, he pulled into the driveway of her mother's house, and when we saw that, we were like, what the fuck, we gotta go hide. So we ran to the basement where her sister's bedroom was. It was like a weird setup in the basement. Like, her sister's room was like kind of locked away in the corner. Like, you could easily hide in there and like have nobody know that it was like a bedroom inside. So we were hiding in there for fucking hours, until we heard her stepfather come home. And even when he got home, we didn't say anything to him. We were just like, oh yeah, we were hanging out in so-and-so's room downstairs. And it was literally, we just went about our lives after that. We did see the black van a couple more times. Anyways, we did see the van a couple more times, but nothing like seriously bad happened again like that. And then after a couple more days, we never saw the van again, so I'm assuming he gave up. I'm hoping he didn't find another victim. I'm assuming he did because he was a fucking predator. But that's the time that my friend and I almost got kidnapped from a guy that we met on Omegle. Yeah.
Never eat at your bed at nighttime. Too late. It's too late. By the way, whenever I say these titles like never eat at your bed at night, I'm simply translating it because it's the same title in Spanish. Like with the other video where it's like never speak to the dead. It's because that's the title in Spanish and I'm literally translating. There's people who are like, don't tell me what to do. Why the fuck would I come on TikTok and let somebody tell me what to do? Are you serious? Are you okay? Just enjoy the story. So this story was being told by her own mom. Her mom said that when she was young, she lived in Mexico in this really big ranch. She explains that a lot of paranormal stuff would happen, not just at that ranch, but like with the people, their neighbors around them. And her mom was never a scaredy cat. On the contrast, she loved any paranormal stories or shows and things like that. Her mom shared a bedroom with her two aunts. They had twin beds where the youngest would sleep on the top and the oldest would sleep in the bottom. She says that every time her mom explains this story to her, she explains it like, I love to eat. Girl, same. And because she loved to eat, something happened to her that she is never going to forget. Her mom explains that every time after dinner, she would get a pan dulce with some atole and she would take it to her room to eat while she watched TV. And her grandmother, her mom's mom, would get really bothered by this because she would tell her that the food is only to be consumed at the kitchen or at the dinner table. That if she ate in her room, it would attract rodents or maybe other things. Her mom was very curious, so she would always ask her grandmother, what other things? Like, what are you talking about? And that her grandmother would tell her, well, there's some souls and some demonic things that are attracted by food. That it's also bad for you to leave like dirty dishes in the sink overnight and things like that. Oh my god, everything I do. And she warned her that if she left any food in the side of her bed or anything like that, these demonic things would come looking for it. Thank God I finished everything. She even told her that not only would they try to eat her food, but they would also try to take her soul. So her aunt, her mom's sister, being a very big scaredy cat, would also get really mad when her mom would bring food to the bedroom because she would hear all the things that her mom would tell her and be like, I don't want these things to come, like stop eating in our bedroom. However, her mom and even her grandfather would always be like, oh, those are just dumb things that your grandma says to scare you off. So days would go on and her mom never stopped bringing food into the room. The first time that something strange happened was when she had taken some pistachios into the room at nighttime and she had left some on the plate that she didn't eat. And when they woke up in the morning, the pistachios were all thrown on the floor and opened with the missing seed on the inside. Obviously, when her aunt saw that, she got so mad and they started fighting all morning because of it. After that happened, all the girls that were sleeping in that bedroom thought that they could hear a rat underneath the bed. And obviously, her aunts would blame her mom because she's the only one that would bring food into their bedroom at night. And of course, her grandmother would tell her mom, it will be your fault if we get mice or like any kind of rodents into the house. However, they had no idea that there would be something worse that would happen. There was one night when one of her aunts got very sick, so the grandparents or their parents took her to go sleep in their bedroom and they left her mom in the bottom bunk by herself and the younger one on the very top. Because of how much she kept getting into trouble, her mom didn't take anything to eat to the bedroom that night. They all went to bed and started watching watching TV for a little bit, and they all just fell asleep with the TV still on. It was very late, and the mom says that the light from the TV started to wake her up and bother her. When she opened her eyes, she said that she saw somebody like with a cloak on standing in the bedroom door. However, she was so sleepy that she could hardly like even open her eyes. That was also the moment where she started to hear,
"Give me some food. Give me some food. Where is the food? Give me the food."
Was it me at her door? The mom explains the voice as like really strange, very deep, and it almost sounded like it was slobbering as it was asking for food. She was still having a hard time opening her eyes, but she heard it again, that voice telling her, "Give me food. Where's the food?" The mom thought that it was a prank from one of her sisters, so she just tells her, "Shut up and just turn off the TV because I can't fall asleep." The following thing that she felt was like a breath at her feet. That's what immediately caused her to get up, open her eyes, and what she saw at the foot of her bed, she explains like a man, that he was hunched over and he had a cloak on, and when she noticed his eyes, they were entirely black. There had no white area. That's when her mom screamed so loud, and this man went underneath the bed. Oh my god, I'm so scared. The sisters that were on the top bunk woke up and immediately screamed as well, and what they saw was like a dark shadow just running out of their bedroom. The grandparents immediately ran to their room and asked them what was happening, but because all of the girls were crying, none of them could like clearly explain what they had seen. In that moment is when on the porch they heard all of their like dishes that they had cleaned just fall, like making the craziest, loudest sound. So her mom says that the following day she went to her mom, the girl's grandmother, and explained what she had seen. And of course grandma was like, "I warned you, I told you this would happen." And the aunt, the one that was sick, overheard their conversation, and she told both of them that she had already seen that man, that he was always right next to her mom's bed while she slept, and that was the reason that she would fall asleep with her back facing them. Why did she never say anything? And she had also told the other sisters, and that's why they were all insistent on telling her not to bring food into the bedroom. I would have been convinced by telling me there was a man next to my bed, but also maybe the mom wouldn't have, because she didn't even believe it at all. She explains that because of this story at her house, her grandparents' house, nobody goes to bed unless the dishes are cleaned, and nobody takes food to their bedroom at night. So what do you guys think?
If you're easily scared, don't watch this at night. Personal spooky story time, and we're gonna call this one "That Wasn't My Brother." When I was about 18 years old, I had gone out, and I had a very strict dad growing up. If you're Mexican or Hispanic, you know, my curfew was at midnight. Thankfully, my sister would cover for me, and she would hide pajamas in the restroom. That way, if I got home late, I would go straight to the restroom, I would change, and if he caught me coming home late, I was already in my pajamas, and I'd be like, "What do you mean I was in the restroom?" So this specific night, I get home past my curfew, I go straight to the restroom, I use the restroom, wash my face, brush my teeth, put on my pajamas. The way that our house is set up is a long hallway, restroom, my bedroom, my brother's bedroom. But as you're walking to the bedrooms, the living room is right here. So as I'm walking to my bedroom, the house is dark as hell. Our front door has glass and the porch light kind of gleams in. So I'm walking to my bedroom and I happen to look in the living room, right in front of our front door. I see a little boy and he's standing there. But what's crazy is the way that he's standing in this perfect spot, the light cuts off right here. So I can see from here down, but I can't see his face. His face is literally black. Like I can't see any features. I can't see nothing. I'm not exactly sure what he's wearing, but it looks like overalls or something like that. My first instinct isn't, "Oh my god, that's a ghost." My instinct is, what the hell is my brother doing awake right now? So I stand there and I'm calling for my brother. I'm literally like, "Eric." My brother's name is Eric. So I'm whispering and I'm like, "Eric," trying to make sure that my parents don't hear me, because it's about 3 a.m. and my brother is just standing there. And I'm like, God. "Eric!" Nothing. No movement. Nothing. So I'm literally standing there for what feels like forever, waiting for my brother to cut his shit out and fucking go lay down, because I'm about to get my ass kicked. And he's just standing there.
So now my wheels are turning and I'm like, okay, what's going on? And when I tell you this is the most I've ever been scared, like I was shook, I was shitting myself. I decide, okay, I'm gonna go to my brother's room. Turn on my flashlight. I'm looking, and my brother is asleep in his room. I was so scared. I didn't even go back to my room. Like, I was freaking out. I've talked about my mom's house being haunted before. What's crazy is that it's inexplainable because my dad built their house. I'd understand if it was like an older house or something like that, but it was a new house. Like, I have not done any research on the land, if there used to be something there, if something happened there. I have not done any research, but I have seen and heard so many things inside that house. It is fucking haunted. It wasn't a mimic, because now that I think about it, this little boy was definitely younger than my brother, and we've seen him many times. He loves to play peekaboo. We have 2 living rooms in my parents' house, and my mom was always in the smaller living room in her recliner, and a wall separates both living rooms with a half moon, and she says that she'd be there in the morning and this is the wall and she could see the little boy like peeking, and when my mom would go and look, he'd kind of like, or if this is the wall, he'd kind of like, you know. But at least it's a friendly ghost. If you guys have any spooky stories that you'd like to share with me, please send them via DM or email, and I'd love to read them. And I will see you guys in the next spooky story. Bye!
Did any of you have this type of like Barbie head that you can style growing up? If you have one, or maybe your kid has one now, yeah, don't listen to this story. So this happened back in the 80s when this lady was a little girl. She was the only girl in the family. She had 2 older brothers. She mentions how her bedroom was right across from her brother's bedroom, so the doors faced each other. Her brothers did share a room while she had her own bedroom. Also, it's important to mention that the bedrooms didn't have doors. What they would do is put curtains where the door should be. I remember having a curtain on my door once, but that was only because my mom took the door. She took the door to my room. Anyway, she played with this doll head so much that every night when she would go to bed, her mom would pick up that doll head and put it on top of her dresser so that she doesn't play with it all night in bed. So there was one night when the younger brother woke everybody up in that household because he was crying uncontrollably. Obviously, the parents were worried. They ran straight to the bedroom, and when they got there, they asked him what was wrong, why is he crying? And he told them that when he was laying in bed trying to go to sleep, he saw when that Barbie head peeked into his bed. Why did I get chills? The Barbie head peeked into his bedroom from the sister's room. He described it almost as if somebody was holding that Barbie head and just inclined it this way. So I guess like literally, I can't even do the motion. I just scared myself. Anyway, he described it as if like somebody had grabbed that head and inclined it this way, so it looked like it was peeking, which obviously is impossible for that doll to do because it would have fallen. It's only like a head. As he's crying, he's like, she was staring at me almost like she knew I was awake, and she peeked into the room. And it was basically impossible for someone to have hidden behind that Barbie to incline her, because again, she was up against that dresser. Even if it was a little sister, she would have been visible from his bedroom. And to no one's surprise, the parents did not believe him. His older brother that also slept in that bedroom did not believe him either. However, with time, that older brother started to believe because some weird shit happened to him as well. So there was one night where the older brother couldn't fall asleep, and something just told him to look towards his little sister's door. He saw the same thing that his brother claimed to have seen, which is that doll head kind of, you know, inclined looking towards the bedroom. But it wasn't just that. It was not just that. He stared back at her because he wanted to make sure, like, is somebody holding her? Is she really moving? Is it me? And when he is staring at this Barbie's head, he said that the Barbie started making faces at him. He described it as like mocking faces, that like sticking her tongue out at him and doing like silly faces. Bro, that would have scared the I wake up, I turn, I look at my Barbie. The Barbie's like, that's the only thing I could think of. What other faces could she have done? What other faces? That would have scared me. That would have been it. Now that I think of it, that bitch has no arms. You have no arms, bitch. I'm gonna fuck you up. Okay, 34-year-old Letty would have fucked her up, but like 12-year-old Letty would have been dying of a heart attack. He also mentions how her mouth would move in like weird angles, almost as if she was trying to say something to him. And by that point, the little brother had also seen those facial expressions that Barbie was making as well. And of course, the older brother went and told his parents. He wanted to tell them that the little brother was not lying. He also saw that doll moving and making facial expressions, and of course they didn't believe them. On the contrary, they got in trouble for making these things up. They basically told them, you better not come to us and tell us that Barbie's moving again or you'll be in big trouble. What's the punishment? I get to sleep in the room with you? Okay, bitch, punish me. What's the punishment? You're taking me to sleep in a new home? Take me right now. So the parents didn't believe them until one night where the dad stayed up by himself, and when he was walking down the hallway, he felt as if somebody was behind him. Immediately he turns around to look, and he could have sworn that he saw something peeking from on top of a dresser. The dad could have sworn that he thought it was that doll head that he saw move. You're a liar, you're making things up, and if you bring this up again, you're gonna be in big trouble, mister. Obviously, it was that moment where it finally scared the dad, where the family decided to get rid of this doll head. So where they lived, the trash people only came on Tuesdays and Saturdays, so they had left the trash and that doll head out there, and it wasn't trash day, so it was just gonna sit out there until the trash came. So while the doll was still outside in the trash, their grandmother came for a visit, and as she was passing by the trash, she saw this like perfectly clean and new doll head on top of the trash can. She pulled it out and asked them why they were gonna throw it away, and her son, the dad, didn't want to tell her why, so he just said it was because the daughter didn't want to play with the doll anymore. So the grandmother decided that she was gonna take it to her home because she had this bedroom that she called the old doll room, and she basically had a whole collection of dolls. She cleaned that doll head up and put it inside of that room. And surprise, surprise, after she put that doll head into that bedroom, weird sounds would start coming from that room. The lady that's telling us the story, obviously that was her doll, and she said that she personally never heard any noise in her grandmother's room where that doll was, but her grandmother and her aunt did hear noises coming from there. She explains that her cousins would also say that they would hear weird sounds coming from that room. They would spend the night at the grandmother's home, and while they were sleeping, they could almost hear like plastic bumping into things in that room. However, they were already scared of that room altogether since there's like old dolls all in there, and they did not dare to go in there and figure out what that noise was. With time, the mom of the girl was like, I cannot not tell them why we got rid of that doll. So she did end up telling the grandmother and the aunt why they got rid of the doll, and obviously they were like, oh my god, so it has to be that doll that's making those noises in that room. However, the grandmother decided not to get rid of that doll. She obviously did believe in the paranormal, but she was not about to be scared of it, so she decided that she was going to keep it in her house so that no one else has to deal with this doll. By the way, the grandmother lived by herself in that house, so yeah, that lady was not scared of the doll. That doll ended up staying with her until her final days, and the grandmother passed away. So grandmother passed away and left that house to her aunt, and her aunt, first day, took all of the grandmother's collection, including that doll head, and basically got rid of everything. She says that the aunt never told anybody what she did with it. They have not seen that doll head ever since. Yeah, that is a crazy fucking story. I feel like I would die if I were to see that Barbie head just like blah, making crazy ass faces at me. But what do you guys think?